Hello, valiant mold warriors. I wanted to make a little video here to show the construction of my custom RV, and part of my motivation in making this video is to help Eric Johnson, because he gets non-stop questions about how he built his RV. I was one of the people that bugged him for months, and I thought maybe if we made a video, he would be inundated with fewer questions. Now, I do want to say that I did not do exactly what Eric did. I did the best that I could. There were some changes in my unit, and so I don't want people to think that I know everything about Eric's design. I do not, and I do not claim that my RV is as good as his, but I did my best to learn from him. And so in most of the important ways, I think our units are similar, but that's a little disclaimer. Another thing I would like to say before I get started is that this video is not intended to be thorough. There's a lot of aspects of discussing custom RVs and why we build them, and some other information, some background information. I'm not going to go into any of that. I'm just going to get straight into the nuts and bolts of this. If you want more background information, watch the other videos on my channel and do the reading. You can learn directly from Eric Johnson by reading his group called the Eric Johnson Effect. You can also read the books that he co-authored. So one thing that my rig shares in common with Eric's is that I used a metal frame. You could see the framing members there going up and across. And I used aluminum skin, and it's corrugated aluminum. Now, there is some concern that aluminum on steel can cause corrosion. It can corrode, but Eric did not have this problem for 10 or 15 years, other than minor, and I have not had the problem yet. I was on a big rant this morning about how people are like, oh, you can't build an RV that way because this and this and this can happen. And I'm like, oh, have you seen conventional housing? Conventional housing needs repairs, maintenance, has issues. So I think if you become too much of a perfectionist about it, you're really going to shoot yourself in the foot. I tried to be a perfectionist about it, and I wasted a lot of time and a ton of money. So instead of being a perfectionist about it, I just built this. And the company that I hired, most companies will not build an aluminum frame for you. Aluminum welding is hard and expensive and can break. It has to be done perfectly. It's much easier to weld steel than it is aluminum. So I could go into that more, but I actually prefer to have a steel frame. It's stronger, it's more flexible, and corrosion isn't our only issue in life, right? If you have an aluminum frame that cracks while you're driving down the road, and your rig splits into two and spreads all across the highway, that's worse than corrosion. So anyway, this aluminum siding or skin is called Mesa RV siding. It's just a standard aluminum siding. And one of the benefits of this is you eliminate the need for about 90% of the glues, sealants, and chemicals in your RV. You eliminate the need for about 90% of that. Why is that important? Well, even if you don't directly react to chemicals, you don't have chemical sensitivities, even in best case scenario, Eric has found, and I agree, that if you put sealants and chemicals and caulking and glue to attach the siding, which is what most companies do, it can grow mold because it's a porous substance. Metal is non-porous. Glue and adhesive and sealants are porous, especially when you put them kind of what we would call the condensation interface on between the frame, where there's hot air touching cold air. You can get condensation back there and it can grow mold. So I was able to eliminate about 90% of the sealants by doing what Eric did, which is to attach the Mesa RV siding with rivets instead of glue. And it's riveted in between these members from the outside in. The other great thing about Mesa siding, which Eric taught me, is that it has an overlap design where the siding pieces, which you can see here, mine are about 12 inches tall. They're all these long vertical horizontal panels that go like this. When you connect them together, there's an overlap that hides the rivets and hides the seam, so you don't need to put any sealant in there. So when it rains, the water on the outside just washes down, and you don't need to caulk those or seal those. Is it airtight? Probably not, but I actually look at that as a good thing because I want a little bit of ventilation in my walls. So I think it's actually the perfect system. I don't take any credit for it, obviously. I just did what Eric did the best that I could. Did I do it exactly the same as him? No. I did the best that I could. One big difference between my unit and Eric's is that he used, I believe, galvanized steel C-truss, C-beams. What are they called? C-studs that are a different kind of material. He did not use steel tubing for his framing. He used C-channel studs, which I think in order to have strength, you have to use a little bit more of them and put them a little closer together. They don't have as much rigidity and strength. I do not necessarily have the expertise to comment on which one would be better. This 2-inch by 1-inch metal tubing or the galvanized steel C-channel. I just don't know. I don't know, but I'm happy with this so far. The other thing is I put a wood stove in my RV like Eric did, and you can see there where it connects to go out. I have the flue attached to the framing so it doesn't rattle around. I have a couple of posts talking about the benefits of a wood-burning stove. I have tremendous benefits from this, and I write about that. There's maybe like 5 or 10 main benefits. The floor of my unit, which is kind of dirty right now, is just steel plates. Steel plates, nothing else. No wood, no glue, everything is welded steel plates. You can see the door threshold here. This is just a part of the frame. Now, one big difference in our units is that Eric has insulated his unit. I have not. I have tried. You can see I'm about halfway done, but I have not insulated my unit yet, and I'm not really going to discuss the pros and cons of that. I think that if I did finish the insulation, it would probably be fine. Eric has made some comments on the benefits of insulating his unit. Obviously, you know, there's pros and cons of insulation. I'm not really going to go into that right now, but one thing I will say that I very much agree with Eric is I would not recommend permanently affixing insulation. I know that Eric kind of press fit his insulation in to where he cut the pieces and they could kind of be forced into the gaps in the framing so he could take them out if he wants to. I do not believe in spray foaming and gluing in insulation. Some people say you have to do that to prevent condensation. Maybe in a perfect world, but guess what? There is no perfect world. And if you ever have to redo that insulation and it's all sprayed in there and sticky, you can't get it out. I totally don't like that idea. I want to be able to pull the insulation out of my rig in 30 seconds, which I can do. You can see this insulation here is just press fit in. You can see I can move it right now. Okay. I think that about covers it for the inside. I do have some roof vents right here, which Eric recommended. I have one there and one there. That would be over the bathroom, which we don't have a bathroom yet, and that would be over the kitchen. These do have electric fans that are not really very well wired right now, but Eric says you don't need to have an electric fan necessarily, but the roof vents are good. They help keep it cool and suck out the VOCs from breathing. I have these windows. I don't think Eric has the same windows, so remember, some of this stuff is my own stuff. I'm not claiming this is Eric's stuff. It's just I did the best that I could. I love these windows. They have a blackout curtain on the inside as well as a screen that pulls up from the bottom, so you can mix and match your blackout curtain with your screen. They are double pane windows, and they open out. I have some paper towels in here to block the when they open out so that if it's raining, you can still leave your windows open, or if you forget to close your windows in the rain, it won't get water inside. I absolutely love these windows. No complaints at all. And I have like a refrigerator in mine that's been installed, but I've never really plugged in. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I would talk about on the interior. Remember that truck campers like what Eric have do not need to be DMV certified. They're considered an accessory to the truck. They do still need to comply with brake lights and stuff like that, but they don't need to be registered with the DMV. trailers do need to be registered with the DMV, so make sure you can't just build a trailer and then drive it on the road. It has to be a DMV certified trailer. So the company that built mine was more than anything a DMV certified trailer manufacturer. You could also start with a DMV certified flatbed trailer that you just buy from a regular dealership and then build something on top of that. And I believe that's legal to do because the trailer's already been certified. So my trailer has brake lights and navigation lights, and it's got a DMV certificate of origin. So I think that's all for the inside. Let's go outside. So as you guys can see on the outside, this is what the Mesa RV side skins look like, and you can see mine are about 12 inches apart. I don't know if Eric's are, but these panels are long horizontal panels that sort of stack up on each other. Someone posted a really good video showing this being assembled. I would suggest watching that video so you could visually see how these assemble. But they overlap here at these points so that you don't need any glue or caulking because there's a vertical overlap, so when it rains the water just kind of washes down. Again, it allows you to not need the adhesives. You can eliminate 90% of glue and adhesive. Now, the type of sealants that Eric used, the putty tape and the self-leveling sealer, I did not react to those at all. Yeah, they were a little bit irritating. They're chemicals, but I didn't react to them. The 3M adhesive tape, which I avoided by using the rivets to connect to the frame, I reacted very strongly to, and Eric has said it's grown mold, so I am glad that I omitted that. The corners of my unit are a metal molding, like an L shape here, that just connects the two pieces of siding together. And underneath that, there's putty tape, which is industry standard. And then I ran this non-self-leveling sealant, which is kind of like the roof sealant, but it doesn't sag on the outside of the putty tape, right on the corners. That's it. It's simple. There's not rocket science here. Me and Eric have talked about how where the corrugation is deeper, you have to use more material. It's kind of a wacky connection there because the corrugation is not linear, and that's why a lot of our RV manufacturers don't use this stuff anymore, because it's where there's these dips in the corrugation, there's a bigger, fatter place that you have to stuff material, but who cares? It's an extra $20 of material. I think that's it for the outside. I'm going to keep this really simple because it's a simple construction. People really overcomplicate it. You could see one of my windows here. This is that double pane window, and the windows are really simple because there's nothing. If you go here, I want to show you guys this real quick going back inside. Let's see if I have a place. I don't know if I have a place I can show you this, but let's see. I've got so much stuff in here right now. Well, and maybe you can see here, but underneath the windows, I don't know if you guys can see that, but underneath the windows, there's just nothing under there. There's no drywall or insulation, so you can always know if your windows are leaking if you can, take a piece of insulation out if you have insulation. But underneath the windows on the inside is just metal, one sheet of metal. So it's really, window leaks just are harmless. I have not had any window leaks. I sealed the windows the same way, putty tape and then non-self-leveling sealer. So let's go up to the roof now. See that I just have a basic triangle on the front. Let's go up to the roof now. I also do not have electrical in my trailer currently. I just have some extension cords going out the window. And this is such a key point because people get so obsessed with what kind of trailer wiring should I do, and I was obsessed with that stuff too, but just building a basic shell to live in has given me so much of my health back that who cares if you have to run an extension cord? You know what I mean? Like yes, if you have a great trailer manufacturer and they're reliable and they can wire your trailer, then of course that's cool. But it's really hard to find. These companies are really flaky. Trust me, I've spent months and thousands of dollars. This unit ended up costing me about $40,000, and it's only worth, I would say, maybe $15,000 or $20,000 because I tried to get it perfect, and I overpaid, and I tried to get all these features. So just be realistic about what these companies can do. I interviewed 10 or 20 companies, and I didn't find any that could do what I wanted. And the one that I hired, even though they did good work, they didn't do what I wanted, and I overpaid. So just a note of caution from experience. And I also have an emergency exit window that's on the other side of the door. So if something weird happened and like a hurricane blew my trailer over so that the door was blocked, you could use the emergency exit to get out. My company was certified to build DMV certified RVs, so this is just one of the things that they did so that it was, met all the guidelines and requirements. All right, I'm going to go on the roof now and show you guys that, which is, again, pretty simple. Now, I joke that this ladder is the most important part of my RV. It's the most important part because it wasn't until I got my own hands dirty, like Eric did. He built his whole unit. I didn't build my whole unit, but at least I got my hands dirty, and I started learning how this thing worked, and I got up on the roof, and I reinforced some of the seals, that I started not being afraid of water intrusions and things, because I learned how my RV works, and I learned how to seal it, and I learned that it's really easy. If you don't have a ladder and you don't get up on your own roof, you're just relying on a bunch of theory, and you're relying on contractors that don't give a rat's ass about your product and who don't understand the importance of leaks. So this ladder is the most important part of my RV, and I can even climb up it without freaking out or dying, hopefully. So we are going to go up here, and the top of my RV is essentially, I don't know if you can see there because of the sun. Let's see if I can, I'm going to tell you that. The top of the RV is the same molding, that same L-shaped molding that connects the siding with the roof. The roof is a single panel of aluminum. The whole thing is one piece of aluminum. It's actually really cheap and easy to build it this way, but RV manufacturers are lazy and they don't. It's just like a big piece of aluminum that rolls out. Now Eric bent the aluminum roof down over the sides so that it would be less likely to leak. My company didn't do that. They cut the aluminum so that it was flat, and obviously it would be better to do what Eric did to bend it over the sides. But that's where a ladder and doing your own work comes in really handy, because I have loaded up this seam with Dicor self-leveling sealer, and the self-leveling just means that when you pour it on a flat surface, it levels itself and gets into all the nooks and crannies. I feel so good about how well this is sealed that I don't even worry about it. And it's so easy to redo. It's just, if you can learn to do it yourself, it's just a non-issue. Like where there are these penetrations here, I just load it up with Dicor self-leveling sealer. You can see that on the roof where there are these other penetrations. And there's too much sun up here right now, but you could sort of see it around my chimney. So it's just really simple. It's not rocket science. You just seal the roof, and if it ever leaks and you have removable insulation, you can see it. It's just not a lot to it. And so I'm hoping this video sort of makes it simpler for people to understand. Again, I'm not going to claim that what I did is what Eric did. It's different, but I did the best that I could to match his design. And then underneath the molding on the outside, you can see this is sort of the L-shaped molding here. I put this non-self-leveling vertical sealer that's similar to the Dicor, but it doesn't sag and drip. And there's putty tape under these too. Putty tape, a long string of putty tape to sort of make the initial waterproof connection. We have had some heavy rains. I'm going to go back down the ladder here. We have had some heavy rains, and I have not had any leaks. I don't expect any leaks, and I expect that if there is a leak, it won't be that big of a deal. This is where my fireplace air intake is, because my fireplace has a fresh air intake, and you can just see I've loaded up on the sealer. you know, where the siding meets the fenders here and this bottom diamond plate paneling, I just stuck a little bit of extra sealer on there too. My rig is not airtight at all. There are little holes everywhere pretty much in the flooring and the steel panels that hold the floor together. There are holes and it's not airtight, and I did that by design because I think being airtight is one of the big problems that we face with moldy housing. If you do get moisture in there and it's airtight, that's a problem. So again, this is not a thorough video. I could talk for another 40 minutes, but I wanted to detail some construction aspects that I did. And again, a reminder that I did not do exactly what Eric did, and I don't claim that this is Eric's design. I just learned from him and did the best that I could. Just a disclaimer here, I'm not a doctor. If you need medical advice, seek a doctor. And also, you know, kind of a disclaimer that, you know, unfinished RVs such as these could potentially be dangerous. I don't know. I don't want somebody to get in trouble. So I don't want to get in trouble because somebody builds an RV that has raw metal and they scratch themselves or something. My family does not live in here with me. They live in the house over there. One day maybe this will be finished enough to have a family in it, but it is not currently. So I do live in here by myself. I just want people to know that. And that's about it. So thanks for watching.